night, on the holiday show last night, we had with us live the head coaches from the Citadel and Upstate and Coastal coach Kevin Schnall because they had to move their practice session because of the weather. They were practicing while we were on the air, so we just had a little bit of his press conference. But tonight he will be joining us live at 6:35, and looking forward to having him with us to talk about Coastal Carolina and getting ready for the regional and maybe a thing or two other outside of that we'll ask about. So looking forward to having him with us at 6:35. 7:35, Josh Harris from Darlington. A lot to unpack from this past weekend, of course, with Kyle Busch and the race at Charlotte. So plenty to talk about there. Clemson gets another commitment today in football. Tight end Carter Blackwell from Leesburg, Georgia, gives the Tigers an even dozen commitments. More on that coming up in recruiting. And the sad news today, the sad news of the passing of Terry Don Phillips, longtime Clemson athletics director a few years ago, and the man responsible for putting Dabo Swinney in his place and putting Brad Brownell in his place in particular, two of his major hires while he was the athletics director at Clemson. He had been dealing with health issues for a while, and it was Dabo Swinney who actually, during the press conference today with Heaven Brown Schuler, as part of that press conference, he was the one who made the announcement that Terry Don Phillips had passed away. So we'll hear from Dabo Swinney on that and on Heaven Brown Schuler coming up a little bit later on. We have Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace over in Sardis, and we have the plumber back at our back in Columbia, handling things back in Columbia tonight. So we're all together, got a great show, looking forward to it. And the news today, Berge, from Dabo Swinney about Terry Don Phillips, caught everybody off guard as far as those outside of the Clemson community. I mean, we knew he had been ill, and we knew that he had been dealing with health issues for a while, and but didn't know it was this close to the end. So very, very sorry, very sad to hear that news. Really, from a professional standpoint, really liked Terry Don Phillips as an AD. He was he was an Arkansas guy. He was from out in the Southwest, and he kind of brought that with him to Clemson. And he had a lot to do once he got there. He did many, many great things, did a lot of really good things, the West Zone and all that kind of stuff, and helped to reinvigorate Clemson from a facility standpoint when they needed a lot of work there. Had Terry Bowden, under his watch as well until he had to make the move to Dabo Swinney. Hiring Brad Brownell obviously turned out to be a great hire for Clemson basketball and other hires as well. So I think he's a guy who was generally liked and admired and respected for the job he did at Clemson as a former standout football player from Arkansas.
I don't think there's any question about that, Phil. You mentioned the Dabo Swinney reference that today, and it was funny. When he started, he clearly wanted to talk about Terry Don Phillips and the effect he has had on his life and his career, but he wasn't sure it was public knowledge. And he actually looked over at Ross Taylor from Clemson Sports Media and said, "Is this public knowledge?" And you can't exactly hear what Ross told him, but Dabo went ahead and brought it up, and I think understandably so, because Clemson football is not where it is right now, this past year notwithstanding, without Terry Don Phillips and his faith that you've talked about several times in Dabo Swinney. And you look at the hires across the board that he made, not only, as you mentioned, both Swinney and Brad Brownell, but he also hired the two soccer coaches who have had tremendous success there, both on the men's and the women's side. So, in terms of just those hires alone, let's not even worry about the facilities upgrades and everything else he did at Clemson. A+ across the board with his hires while he was there. Just a terrific athletics director. And, really, really sad news. And we've got some comments from Dabo about the impact he had on his life, and he references him. It's almost as if Dabo's talking about another father figure for him because, he just loved this guy and loved the amount of faith that he put in him, and understandably so, because I don't think at the time, and I didn't know this, Dabo tells this story that in 2007, I believe he was about ready to leave and go back to Alabama as a coach. And he talked to Tommy Bowden, I believe it was, down at Florida State, Bobby Bowden at Florida State, and decided to stay. And Terry Don Phillips, because he only had a 1-year contract. He said evidently all those guys the assistants were on one-year deals, and he talked to Terry Don Phillips. Actually, Bowden made a call to him and extended Dabo's contract to 2 years. And that's what kept him at Clemson. Could you imagine had he gone to Alabama, how different the Clemson football program may be? Maybe they bring him back when that job open comes available in 2008, 2009. Who knows? But, boy, you want to talk about being in the right place at the right time. It certainly worked out for Dabo Swinney. It was a great hire by Terry Don Phillips.
Now, was that different from what he said about – because this surprised me. I had not heard this story, and I hadn't heard that either. But he said a couple of days after he was officially hired as the full-time coach, after the interim run, and then he was hired as the full-time head coach, and he said 2 days after that he quit. Mm-hmm. And then later that day he unquit because he was upset that apparently some things he thought were going to get done had been put on the back burner. And so he quit, and then he met with Terry Don Phillips, and apparently Terry Don calmed those nerves a little bit and maybe gave him the right answers and showed him what the plan was, and then he unquit, I guess you could say. So was never aware that he was willing to walk away from the head coaching job 2 days into it, but that's what he said today.
Yeah, evidently it was a mess and much worse than he anticipated it was when he took over. And you're right. No, the 2007 story, that was beforehand. He was, because of his very, very short-term contract, he was almost ready to go back to Alabama. And instead, as I mentioned, Coach Bowden made a call to Terry Don Phillips, and TDP sat down and gave Dabo an extra year. That was 2 years, so that kept him through 2008. Then, of course, Tommy Bowden has a bad year. Things don't go well. He's let go in, October. Dabo takes over for the stretch run and then gets the job. But you're right. He also referenced the fact that he quit about 2 days in because it wasn't exactly what he anticipated. And again, what happens if that holds true and Clemson has to make a different football hire?
No telling what you're doing at Clemson these days. But hard to believe that who they would have hired would have delivered the way Swinney has delivered with the two
exactly.
national championships. Maybe. I mean, who knows who they would have hired. But hard to believe they would have been as successful as he has been. I mean, what is he? He's the all-time winningest ACC coach, all-time winningest Clemson coach, 2 national championships. Hard to look back and second-guess that decision if you are a Clemson fan. All right, so Bergie's with us, and Kevin Schnall coming up. We got the other thing to mention today, too. These things, they come in threes. They say it comes in threes, You had Kyle Busch, Terry Don Phillips, and Bob Horner passed away today at the age of 68, the former Brave star out of Arizona State. Wasn't he one of the few? Didn't he go – well, he didn't go right from high school to the majors, but didn't he go right from Arizona State to the Braves? Did he have any stop in between in the minors? I sort of remember him coming straight from because Ted Turner wanted him up in the majors right away, if my memory is right. Maybe a hardcore Braves fan can straighten us out on that. By the way, we're not able to take your calls.
I'm looking through his bio, and he is among the few players who went straight from college to a start. Not only did he get to the majors, starting position in Major League Baseball. But keep in mind, when he came up with the Braves, they were god-awful. I mean, they were terrible. And he was like the only attraction they had. I mean, they were so bad. Bob Horner was about the only attraction they had at the time. This was not the 90 Braves he was joining, No.
This was the Braves of Fulton County Stadium, 3,000 fans in the stands, Skip Carey, Skip Carey, giving a name to everybody who caught a foul ball or an identification. Hey, that's that guy from Scriven County on that catch out there in right field. That was just it was friends and family with the Braves back in those days.
No doubt.
But they had some great players, and he was one of them. He was a rookie of the year in 1978, as I recall. South Carolina faced him in the college baseball World Series championship game when they played Arizona State. Bob Horner was on that Arizona State team. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Double check me, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. So our setup tonight, the plumber, shall we say, is not in the studio.
I'm not excited for hour number 2.
Over the air.
I'm not excited for hour number 2. Let's just say that.
Hour number 2. But you can communicate with us over air. Okay, I didn't realize that you could. You'd have that capability. He is producing from afar, so we're not able to take calls from you. We will be able to place our call to Kevin Schnall and our call to Josh Harris. Can't take calls, but you can also text message us. That number is 803-900-4847. Got a lot of text messages. 803-900-4847. Back in a moment.
It might be tough to picture your kid in college today, but it'll be here before you know it. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving right now. You can start with any amount. Savings grow tax-free, and friends and family can chip in too. Discover the smart, easy way to save today at futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com.
Business owners, if you're ready to grow your business, you can relax. With Founders Federal Credit Union, we mean business. When it comes to business loans, from equipment to expansion, our flexible financing can help fund real business growth. If you're considering a business loan, such as real estate, vehicles, equipment, or an unsecured loan or line of credit, our team is here to help. Our local experts will review your application, resulting in quick decisions and processing. And unlike most banks, we don't charge prepayment penalties. As always, from Founders, you can expect great rates and exceptional service along the way. Visit foundersfcu.com/business to learn more, or to get started, stop by an office near you or give us a call. 800-845-1614. That's 800-845-1614. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. Rates, terms, and conditions are subject to change. Loans are subject to credit evaluation and underwriting requirements.
In 2012, inside Clemson football's weight room, a different kind of barbell was developed. The Tsunami Bar is a flexible, oscillating bar designed to enhance high-intensity training while helping reduce joint stress. Unlike traditional rigid bars, it moves. That movement forces your stabilizer muscles to activate, your core to engage, and your body to produce force more efficiently. The result is improved strength, better balance, and more functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports continues to provide innovative, dynamic training solutions that empower individuals of all fitness levels to reach their peak potential. Whether you're training for general fitness, building resilience, or improving rotational strength for sports like golf, the Tsunami Bar challenges your body in ways traditional equipment cannot. Learn more at tsunamibarsports.com.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to make sure you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
Seeing some video of the Panthers practicing fumble recoveries in the rain in Charlotte today. It looks like it was monsooning in Charlotte. And Panthers are working on ball security. Good idea. Good idea. All right. If you want to shoot us a text message, we'll read those tonight. 3-900-4847. And let's get to a few other top news items of the day away from the two deaths that we've just talked about. The NCAA's denied Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby's request for reinstatement for eligibility in the 26th season. He completed his 35-day inpatient rehab for his gambling addiction in Arizona is where that took place. And so his request for reinstatement for eligibility has been denied. So does that end it, you think, for him? You think he tries to do a court thing, or he can go ahead and petition or put in the paperwork for a supplemental NFL draft, and he would be obviously probably the number one guy taken in a supplemental draft which
I don't
if you
know.
don't know what happens, the team that takes him it depends on, they kind of recreate the draft round by round, and when somebody decides to take him, you give up that pick subsequently in the next draft. So, like if you took him, say you didn't take him in the first round, you took him in the second round with your pick in the second round, then you lose that pick. That team loses that pick in next year's draft. So that would be his next step, I would imagine, Bergie.
I think you're probably right, Phil, but I think, quite frankly, unfortunately for him, his next step probably needs to go get into the business world, because I can't imagine the NFL is going to want to touch a guy who's been accused of the amount of gambling he's done, considering what the NFL deals with in terms of betting on its sport. They just cannot have somebody who might be on the field in a game and the fans sitting back wondering if he's actually trying to play or is he point shaving. I mean, they just can't deal with that, fairly or unfairly. There's no way. I'd be shocked if the NFL brought him in. I really would.
Okay. Citadel announced that all of their tickets for the regional here in Atlanta, all advanced tickets, are sold out. Okay.
Good job, Bulldog
Of course,
fans.
Georgia Tech
Nice.
fans are, they're their team, that home run hitting team. They're very hyped about that, and of course, every team that makes it to a regional, the fans are hyped. So no surprise there. Of course, the SEC spring meetings underway today, and the coaches, one by one, making their rounds in front of the media. Texas A&M coach Mike Elko, of course, everybody's asked about the playoff, and his response pretty much answers for everybody. Quote, "I don't know why you ask us. It doesn't matter what we think. I don't know why we're trying to become a trophy sport. What does Mike Elko want? 40. Then I won't get fired. It's okay to make it hard to get to the playoff." End quote.
Good for
Other
him.
coaches said the same thing. But then again, there was a poll of, there was a poll of coaches. I believe it was coaches. No, ADs, I'm sorry. Half of the ADs have said they prefer a 24-team college football playoff. 13 of 16 ADs want to expand. Only one AD wants to keep it at 12. And apparently half, which would be 8 of 16, say they prefer a 24-team college football playoff. Takes us to our poll question of the week. Hopefully you've participated in that. If you haven't, you've got a chance to on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and also on our X account, SC Sports Now. What is the ideal number of teams for the CFP? Brought to you by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance. In Columbia at 803-799-1998. In Lexington, 803-359-0770. What is the ideal number? Is it 12? Is it 16? Is it 24? Is it 32? 16 right now is the one that has gotten the votes to this point. So, again, if you're going to expand it, 16 makes sense to me. I don't know that you can keep adding more teams to it and more play-in games and messing with the schedule and everything else that comes into play in November and December. I know these guys are professional football players, but they do have to go to school. They do have to take tests. I think they have to show up and still do that kind of stuff. And now you're talking about exams and things that get scheduled in December that, you don't have to deal with if you're in the NFL. The college world still has to deal with the academic calendar to some degree.
Greg Sankey, and if we get time tonight, we'll play some of what he had to say. It's a lot of word salad, and you have to be much smarter than I am to understand when Greg Sankey gets on his high horse sometimes. He talks, way above the average football fan, and I include myself in that category. But one thing he said is we've got to make sure that games still matter during the regular season. And I think that's why he is one of two reasons why he is so enthralled with going no further than 16. Clearly, the other one is they don't want to give up the SEC championship game. There's too much money that is pumped into the Southeastern Conference to get rid of that. The more interesting thing, though, and the scarier comments, I think, Phil, were from Kirby Smart at Georgia, where he said he's quite frankly an advocate that if the SEC can't find the rules that everybody else plays by, then they should go on and do their own thing. All right, that's fine. Let's speculate with Kirby. Let's speculate with Kirby for a moment. Let's assume for a moment the SEC goes and does its own thing. Who are they going to play? Just themselves?
breaking up on us there, Bergie. I hear what you're saying. Who are they going to play? You're right. But here's the thing. So you want to create your own set of rules to govern the SEC, and you go by your own set of rules, right? Well, where's the guarantee that the 16 schools, head coaches, and the like are going to follow those rules? I mean, there's no reason to believe, based on what we've seen, previous actions, there's no reason to believe these coaching staffs can abide by any rules, whether it's SEC rules, NCAA rules, the rules of God, whatever, you name it. It's embedded in these guys to cheat. It's embedded in them to try to get an edge on the other guy. Just look at Ole Miss and the tampering with Clemson to begin with, and on and on and on. So you would trust, if the SEC comes up with its own set of rules, you would trust that these coaches, football, basketball, all across the board, are going to follow those rules?
Oh, absolutely. Lane Kiffin, Will Wade, well known for following the rules. They'd have no problem sticking to the rules.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you're right. That is something that's also been kicked around there by Kirby. So we'll see if that has any legs. Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz, an update on his star running back, Ahmad Hardy, who was shot on May 15th, said he's been rehabbing at their facility every morning at 9 a.m. He said they're a long way from knowing what the football side will be. So he's still got some recovery to do there. Greg Sankey, you mentioned him. He said, I do not anticipate any decisions on a college football playoff at these meetings. And this is from Ross Dellinger. College football commissioners will get a validation of a 2014 field in June. Okay. What does that mean? CFP commissioners will get a valuation. I'm sorry. We'll get a valuation. So they're still looking at the 2014 proposal and looking to get a valuation of that sometime in June. I guess that's from the television standpoint when he says the commissioners will get a valuation of a 2014 field in June. Like, how much more money can we make off of 24 teams compared to 12, compared to 16? Is that where we're going?
So you're saying valuation starting with a V. I was curious if you were saying an evaluation starting with an E. No, I think you're right, Phil. I think absolutely ESPN will come back and say, all right, this is how much money we can afford to spend on a 16-team playoff. You go to 24, we're probably going to have to bring in some other TV networks, and here's what they can bring to the table as well.
Yeah, Sankey was asked if there are 24 teams capable of winning a national championship in any year, and if ordering down the CFP field is a concern, and his quote was, "It is for me." So he's being a little more conservative about this than his brethren in the same positions. Okay, we'll be right back.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy overnight, a few showers are possible. The low dips down to 71. Tomorrow, more of what we've had today. Showers possible in the afternoon, the high up to 88. And by Thursday, we climb to 91 as our high. But then it's cooler for the weekend ahead. High temperatures in the upper 70s. More rain likely for Saturday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
Our visit. With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Texans are choosing a Republican nominee for U.S. Senate. The election brings to a close a bitter and expensive primary. President Trump has endorsed State Attorney General Ken Paxton over four-term Senator John Cornyn. Thousands of people who live near a damaged hazardous chemical tank in Southern California still cannot return home, even as officials say the risk of a catastrophic explosion has largely passed. Officials ordered evacuations in Garden Grove near Los Angeles last Thursday after the tank at an aerospace plant overheated. President Trump wrapping up a 3-hour visit to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center for what the White House describes as a preventive medical and dental examination. The 79-year-old president said everything checked out perfectly. This is SRN News.
Are you tired of that dripping faucet driving you crazy? Is your drain doing more of a gurgle than a flow? Don't despair. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is here to save your day. Serving our community as locally owned plumbing experts, Franklin Plumbing tackles everything from minor leaks to major clogs. And we're talking fast, friendly, reliable service. They respect your home. They respect your wallet. Josh and his team offer upfront pricing, and that's important. This team I'm talking about, they're fully licensed. They're insured technicians. They're ready for any plumbing crisis that you might encounter. Whether it's routine maintenance, a stubborn blockage, or a total plumbing overhaul, they'll get the job done right the first time. They've been out to my home, my brother's home, even his business. I'm comfortable, very comfortable, bragging on Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Stop letting plumbing problems disrupt your life. Call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning today and experience the difference that true expertise makes. Visit their website, franklinplumbing.sc.com, or give them a call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Memorial Day savings start now at Palmetto State Armory. Save on PSA rifle kits, firearms, ammo, optics, and more. Whether you're upgrading your current setup, starting a brand new build, or looking to stock up before summer, take advantage of the huge Memorial Day savings throughout the store. Like a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus for $369.99. Buy one, get one free on select fishing rods and more. Visit Saturday, May 23rd for on-site food trucks. Bring your family and make a day out of it. Memorial Day deals in May 26th. Visit your nearest Palmetto State Armory location today.
Spring is the perfect time to make sure your home stays comfortable. For over 12 years, Sweet Comfort Services has been proud to serve Columbia as the best small family-owned heating and air company in the area. Whether you need repairs, a new installation, or preventative maintenance, our trusted team has you covered. We install dependable systems from Goodman and Train, and if you have a quote from any licensed HVAC company, we'll match or beat their price. Call 803-331-8143 or visit sweethvac.com. Sweet Comfort Services, keeping Columbia comfortable.
Nothing better than a Saturday night in Casey, West Columbia. It's the return of Rhythm on the River, proudly presented by the Greater Casey West Columbia Chamber and Prisma Health. Come out to the Savage stage at Savage Craft Airworks on Center Street this Saturday. Give a listen to the Root Doctors. It's family-friendly and pet-friendly. This year, we even have pop-up bands of various local businesses. For more information on this and all events, check out cwcchamber.com/Rhythm on the River, and we'll see you for the Root Doctors Saturday at Rhythm on the River.
Hi, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Rodney. We're the owners of Shingles Now.
So there are a ton of roofers out there, too many frankly, and some of them, well, they lack ethics and morals.
We are both GAF certified master lead contractors. That might not mean much to you, but if you need a roof repair or replacement, it's essential, and it weeds out a lot of the fly-by-night roofers out there.
Replacing a roof is not something you do every day, so do it right. You want someone licensed, insured, local, and respected. Here at Shingles Now, you can count on us today and to still be here tomorrow.
Shingles Now, the right way, right away. Visit shinglesnow.com.
We are back on Sports Talk Media Network. Good to have you with us wherever you're dialed in around the state of South Carolina on this Tuesday night. As we look ahead to the upcoming baseball regional tournaments, 3 teams from South Carolina, of course, going into postseason play. We had 2 of the coaches with us live last night. Coach Kevin Schnall from Coastal Carolina couldn't make it because of the rain and a change in their practice schedule. Put him up against our show, which is all well and good, and we forgive him for that. But we're very thankful to have him with us tonight for a few minutes to talk about Coastal and heading down to Tallahassee and the season to date and what they're going to do to make that next step towards Omaha. And I loved what he said yesterday. They're going down there to win a regional, not mess around. Coach, thank you for being with us. How are you?
Phil, Chris, what's up, guys? Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, sir. Appreciate you being with us. Catch us up on your team. Practice yesterday. Were you able to get in some practice today? And how are you judging the mood of your guys?
Oh, the mood is extremely positive right now. We're in week 16, and we're playing our 5th straight regional. We got an opportunity to continue playing, and really looking forward to getting down to Tallahassee. We had a great workout yesterday evening. Had another Really good workout this morning, and then we'll work out again tomorrow morning, and then we'll fly down to Tallahassee tomorrow afternoon.
So you're not exactly rolling into the NCAA tournament on a hot streak. You know, you haven't played your best baseball here of late. Does that concern you as you go into the regional?
Absolutely. You know, you're right. You know, the last 10 games we're 4-6. We're basically playing 500 baseball the last month of the season. It's really been a combination of all three. You know, the timely hitting. You know, we talk a lot about guys getting to first base. We've got to get to first base and do a better job of earning some frees. Defensively, we've played very high-level defense all year long, but there's some plays that we haven't made in the last couple weeks, and specifically some double plays that we haven't converted, and then our starting pitching hasn't been as consistent as we need it to be. But ultimately, this weekend coming up, it's a new season. It's a new start, and, you know, it's about attacking the strike zone. That starts with strike one, handling, controlling the baseball, and then bunching quality at bats. You do that on a weekend series, and you got a chance to advance and go to a super regional. And ultimately, if you don't do that, you know, it's upsetting to say, but, you know, you'll be collecting uniforms.
Yeah. And you don't want to be doing that this early in the tournament. What are your pitching plans? Have you formulated how you're going to approach things, beginning with your opener against Northern Illinois?
We're still assessing and reviewing the teams that are in the regional, and that's what I said yesterday about, you know, we're going down there to win a regional, not to just play in it. And what I meant by that is, you know, we may, you know, move some things around with our pitching to put us in the best position, or what we view the best position to win the regional, not just to win a game. And that's what I meant by that.
Sure. So as we sit here tonight, I mean, do you want to start a Fluky in the first game? Do you want to hold him for that potential second game against Florida State? Is that some of the stuff that you're kind of going back and forth with Coach Williams and your staff as you look at the pitching side of things?
Yeah, we're contemplating starting him all three, if possible. I just don't think that's going to be conducive to his health. But that's what we're contemplating right now. What is the best matchup in game one? We have tremendous amount of respect for you know, Northern Illinois and what they accomplished this year. 35 wins. They have a pitcher that's 8-0. He's got a 3 ERA, a strikeout an inning. Opponents are hitting 220 versus him. This guy's going to be a real challenge on Friday night. They have a leadoff hitter that's got over a 500 on base percentage. They've got two guys in their lineup that have 10+ home runs. They've played, you know, on paper, they've played high-level defense. So this is a team that's very scary. I get it. It's not an ACC, SEC name, but they won the MAC. They won 35 games. They're coming in the tournament playing very good baseball. So I can assure you this, we're not taking these guys lightly. We're not taking these guys for granted. This is a really good team. And, again, it looks like a really well-coached team. They play fundamental baseball.
Yeah, Max Vasvila is the guy you're talking about. He's 8-0, 3.04. He's got 2 shutouts on the season. He has 85 strikeouts in 83 innings. Teams are hitting 220 against him. So I'm sure that's the guy that you're going to be facing on Friday night. So you're going to see their best, and that's what these teams will do. And this is a team coming in on a roll because they swept through the MAC. They won their 4 games and have moved on. So they're going to be coming in with a lot of confidence.
Oh, there's no question. This team is confidence is sky high. You know, they just dogpiled and won a MAC championship. So I can't stress it enough. This is a team that we are not taking for granted. This is a team that has had great success this spring. And, you know, again, this is a team that is going to be a very, very difficult challenge for us. And, you know, we're preparing ourselves at a very high level this week to make sure that, you know, we're ready for them.
Visiting with Coach Kevin Schnall from Coastal Carolina. Shauna Clear is about to head down to Tallahassee. What about your lineup Anything going on there from an injury standpoint, or any changes that you're thinking about, or do you roll with what you've been rolling with most of this season?
Right now it's still too early to tell. We're still, like I said, we're assessing, exactly the starting pitching, what will be the best matchup. The four guys that had great weeks and really have been swinging the bat extremely well for us here as of late is Mazan, Barthel, Watson, and then Walker Mitchell. Those four guys have been tremendous. There's some other guys now in our lineup. We got to get moving in the right direction so we can lengthen that lineup. Dean Mijos is our captain and one of our best players. He did not have a great conference tournament weekend. We need him. He's been our leadoff guy. We need to get him going because he's such a valuable part of, not only our offense, our entire team. We're contemplating, do we move him out of the leadoff spot in that game one? Again, there's a couple pieces that we're looking at, but there's no definite answers at this point.
When you reflect on what you did last year and making it all the way to the National Championship Series and the things that you did well, how much of what you did well last year are you doing well going into the NCAA tournament this year, as far as advancing runners, playing great defense, doing the little things to win the games? Are you seeing some of the same things that were so good to you last year?
I'd be lying to you if I said yes. No, we're not. Our short game at one point this season, I would argue that it was the best in the entire country. Our short game has been mediocre as of late. We were stealing bases and being extremely successful throughout the entire year. This past month we're stealing at a 50% clip, which is not positive. And again, you got to credit your opponents. Our opponents are coming in much more prepared for what we're doing. But you think about last year's team, when you've got Jacob Morrison, a third rounder, pitching on Friday, Cam Fluke, arguably the best pitcher in all of America this year, will be a slam dunk first rounder, pitching on Saturday, and then Riley Eichhoff, the salty vet, who was a ninth rounder, pitching on Sunday. Those guys covered up a lot of inefficiencies. And ultimately, that was the difference. I mean, those starting pitchers were so good, and we were first in the country last year in starting pitching innings. And that was a big difference, and it really condensed the game, obviously. And then it put our bullpen arms in position to be successful. And ultimately, our starting pitching just has been, very inconsistent, especially in the last month. But we have the ability. I mean, we have the ability. Those guys have shown that they can give us really quality starts, and that's what it's going to take this week. If we can get some quality starts and get off to a good start, that will enhance our chances to be successful.
Does it bum you out a little bit? I'm sure it does. I mean, nothing was official until Monday, but the prognosticators had you guys hosting a national top seed, 7 and 8 seed. I mean, you were sitting there in a position of great strength, and then it kind of got away from you here over the last 10 games or so. Kind of, I don't know. How do you feel about being right there, and then your guys not able to hang on to what was expected for them at that point?
Yeah, the last 3 weeks we went 1-2. But the bottom line is we won 37 games. We came in second place in a conference that is a 5-bid league, the fourth highest bids out of any league in the entire country, SEC, ACC, Big 12, Sun Belt. To accomplish what we accomplished, 5 of our top 8 arms hurt. Cam Fluke, the best pitcher in the entire country, has got basically 20 innings for us. Ryan Lynch, who was our lockdown closer, sub-1 ERA last year, missed the first 18 games. He's only got 19 innings pitched for us. Scott Doran, who was going to be one of our go-to bullpen arms, beat Ole Miss early in the year in a spot start, 28 innings, hasn't pitched since March 31st. Dom Carbone, preseason All-American, out for the year. Hayden Johnson, arguably the top left-hand pitcher in the entire country, out for the year. To do what we did, Trace Mazon, our best offensive player, has missed 5 weeks, got hurt in the second conference series of the year, missed 5 weeks. We won 37 games, came in second place. Listen, it's been grueling at times, exciting throughout, but as a coaching staff, very rewarding what this team accomplished. Very successful season for what they accomplished with what they went through. They faced so many challenges, so many obstacles, so much adversity. Again, very proud of what this team accomplished.
Any chance that any of those guys, the ones who aren't out for the year, any chance any of those other guys have a chance to show up and help you out here in the regional and moving forward?
Fluky and Lynch are fine. Lynch's last four appearances, he's been lights out. Fluky's last 2 starts, lights out. So again, we're moving in the right direction this time of the year. But again, it's going to come down to Fluky, Lynch, the freshman Colby Richardson. His last 2 appearances, he's been very good. Darren Horn is our team MVP. 7 wins, 7 saves. He's been great. But Ross Norman, Luke Jones, there are 2 other starters. We need them to step forward this weekend. And then, from the bullpen, Daniel Parker, he's shown glimpses of being really good. His last outing versus Louisiana, he was great, struck out the side, but he's been a little bit inconsistent. We've got to get a little bit more consistency from them. And then, like I said, there's 4 or 5 guys in the lineup that have the ability. There's multiple guys in our lineup that succeeded last year on this biggest stage. We need those guys to step forward this weekend for us to be successful.
Well, let's hope it all comes together for you and you can make that deep run. I think I've covered everything that I can cover about Coastal Carolina, so if you will allow, I've got to ask you the question that's on the minds of, I'm sure, baseball fans all around South Carolina and around the country for that matter, if I may. And maybe I should apologize in advance for sidestepping from where we are, but wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you this since I've got you live on the phone, and that is, has there been any contact between South Carolina and you or your representatives about the job at South Carolina? Anything you can share with us on that?
Listen, I know there's a lot of rumors out there, but I have not spoken to the University of South Carolina regarding its baseball head coaching position. All of our focus right now is 100% on Coastal. South Carolina is an elite program. That's a job that's going to, obviously a job that a lot of coaches will be very interested in because of the commitment and the rich tradition of that program. But like I said, at this point, I have not spoken to the University of South Carolina regarding that position.
Okay. How about anybody in your team as far as your agents or anything like that? Anybody associated with you had any contact that you can tell us?
My agent has spoken to a firm and has got very little information.
10-4. 10-4. When you go down to Tallahassee and you make the run through the tournament and all that, the question is going to come up about your coaching future. How do you feel prepared about handling those questions from various media as you move on through the tournament?
Listen, I'm the head baseball coach at Coastal Carolina. In the last 2.5 decades, we've got the 5th best winning percentage, the 6th most wins in the entire country. Over the last decade, we've got the most wins in the state of South Carolina. We've been to Omaha twice. We won a national championship. Last year, we were in the national championship finals. It's going to happen every single year. I'm very fortunate to be a part of this successful program. Coach Gilmore laid this foundation, and we're continuing to build upon that foundation. And, at the end of the day, the success is why people are interested. And, ultimately, it's going to happen every single year if we continue to be successful.
Yeah. Could you see yourself retiring at Coastal Carolina?
Absolutely. I love this place. This is a great place to be. As most people know, this is the place that gave me an opportunity to play Division I baseball. This place that awarded me my college degree. This is the place that kickstarted my coaching career. It is a really special place to my family and me, and I love Coastal Carolina with all my heart, and I'm a very proud alum.
Coach, thank you so much for answering all the questions. Good luck to you and your guys as you head down to Tallahassee, and looking forward to seeing how the three teams you guys are representing the state this year, Upstate, the Citadel, and Coastal Carolina. You're carrying the Palmetto State flag wherever you go, so best of luck to you.
Yes, sir. We're fortunate to keep playing, and looking forward to, like I said, getting down to Tallahassee and competing.
Thank you, Coach. Safe travels. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That is Coach Kevin Schnall, head baseball coach at Coastal Carolina. And I tell you what, that guy is he's hard. You know, he's very hard-nosed. You can tell that from our conversations with him. Very matter-of-fact. But he doesn't dodge a question. I love that. No. He doesn't, he could have very easily just said, no comment or whatever. He doesn't dodge a question, so that's good. I appreciate the fact that he'll answer a question like that. I don't like asking questions like that when a team is preparing for something. I don't like asking employment questions of the head coach because, he's thinking about his team, and we're interviewing him about the tournament coming up. But sometimes you have to go there in these situations because of the situation with South Carolina looking for a job, and everybody knowing that Kevin Schnall will be one of the strong candidates, if not the candidate for the job. He did confirm that there's been contact between his agent and the search firm that Jeremiah Donati is using in this particular case. So that's something. That's something. I guess we have the first confirmation of a contact between the search firm and one of the so-called leading candidates, if not the leading candidate.
I got to give him credit, though, Phil, and you had to follow up on it. He said, I have not talked to USC.
No,
I thought that was a very clever way to handle that.
No, we'll let you comment on what he had to say after the break, and we'll explain why that's the case in just a moment.
Looking for thrills? Then welcome to the South Carolina Education Lottery, where excitement's the name of the game, and every chance at a win
Just one more. Come on, so close.
comes with a chance of a whiff.
Well, no biggie.
Nicely done. You handled it like a pro. Because when the stakes start getting too real and you find yourself playing for more than fun, it might be time to take a break.
Good point.
Playing for fun makes you a better player, and a better player is a better you. Learn more at SCEducationLottery.com.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is right around the corner here in the Palmetto State. As you get ready for this spring and summer, make sure your registration sticker is up to date and you have a copy of your registration card on board your boat. For more information on boat registration and answers to common questions, visit dnr.sc.gov.
This spring, Founders Federal Credit Union is giving you a fresh start. Open or access your home equity line of credit and get 4.99% APR on funds drawn from April 1st through May 31st. That's more in your pocket for home improvements or even that vacation you've been dreaming about. The possibilities are endless. Imagine a fresh start this spring with financial flexibility and peace of mind. But hurry, this special offer ends May 31st. 4.99% promotional APR expires December 31st, 2026. APR will then revert to the standard variable APR, currently 6.75% to 11.75%. Plus, you'll enjoy competitive rates designed to fit your budget. Don't miss this chance to turn your home's equity into something memorable. Relax, your HELOC just got more powerful. Visit foundersfcu.com/HELOC for more information. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. See website for details.
All right, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network. The reason we got kind of an odd setup tonight because the plumber is not producing from the studio in downtown Columbia. Because of situations that we won't get into, he's having to produce from the home studio. But he's able to produce from the home studio. But because of that and because of the computer arrangement and et cetera, and the phone calls and et cetera, Bergie has to drop off when we have a guest on the line. He's not able to ask questions. So that's why you didn't hear Bergie ask his, no doubt, awesome questions of the coach. But what did you think of the conversation, Bergie?
I thought it was great. It was typical Kevin Snall, very down to earth, knows his facts. I mean, no one can recite facts this side of Tim Beret at Clemson. No one can recite facts any better about his baseball program or any program than Kevin Snall. He knows exactly what his team does well. He knows exactly what it has not been doing well, and he's right. They have not played good baseball here the last couple of weeks, and that's got to change or they're not getting out of Tallahassee. And he reiterated what he said yesterday. A terrific quote, and coaches do this all the time. They just don't tell us. But basically, he said, we're going down to win a regional. We're not going down to just win one game. And the fact that he said that yesterday and sort of reiterated it again today, I think you probably will see Cameron Flukie pitch against Florida State if they get them on Saturday. I can't imagine Flukie's going to pitch on Friday.
No, I wouldn't either. Just wanted to throw that out there to see what. But again, he said they're still. I mean, look, you don't want to mess around with an opponent that's coming in hot and confident who can throw a guy at you. Here's what you have to think about. When you face these 4 seeds, they're facing a 3 seed. When you're facing a 3 or 4 seed in these regionals, and you're thinking of holding your ace, well, they're throwing their ace.
No, absolutely.
And so how much are you going to produce offensively? Are you going to be in a real tight battle? And, I mean, you don't want to look back at a situation now where because you didn't throw your best, and, of course, your number 2 is not bad. His number 2 is not bad. He can go out there and throw his number 2 and feel confident about it. But if you don't score some runs and you get held down by their number 1, then all of a sudden, let's just say it doesn't go well. Now you're in the loser's bracket, and you're going to have to burn up every arm you got just to be around to play on Sunday. So it's a difficult call for a coaching staff to make that kind of decision when you're sitting there knowing you're going to see a very good pitcher from the other side. Okay, it's the top of the hour break. We got hour number 2 hour coming up.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. In Texas, the polls will be open until 7 Central. As Texans choose their Republican Senate choice for the general election, incumbent Senator John Cornyn faces his biggest challenge, Attorney General Ken Paxton, who was endorsed by President Trump. A Republican redistricting effort in South Carolina has failed.
South Carolina's Senate has rejected President Donald Trump's push to redraw the state's congressional districts in hopes that Republicans could get an extra seat in the U.S. House on Capitol Hill. The South Carolina House passed the measure a week ago, but the state senators were more skeptical of the effort, worrying that the move could backfire and get an extra Democrat elected. Some state senators also worried that holding yet another primary in August using the new congressional maps would present logistical problems. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
U.S. consumer confidence declined slightly this month as gas prices stayed high and inflation remained elevated. A sharp contrast to soaring stock prices that have neared record levels. Correspondent Bernie Bennett takes a look at the numbers.
The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index slipped 0.7 points to 93.1 in May, the first decline after 3 months of gains. Spikes in gas prices as well as higher food costs have worsened inflation, which has outpaced the growth in average paychecks, reducing most Americans' purchasing power. Gas prices have soared to a nationwide average of $4.49 a gallon from $2.98 just before the war began at the end of February, and have been at or above $4.50 a gallon for nearly all of May. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
On Wall Street today, stocks finishing mixed. The Dow was off 118 points. The Nasdaq charged ahead 312. The S&P gained 45. More at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options, debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Rescuers tried to reach 7 villagers trapped inside a flooded cave in Laos for the 7th day, with difficult terrain and weather impeding their efforts. There's been no contact with them since they became trapped. Klaus Rasmussen is a senior diving instructor who's assisting.
The biggest challenge is that the access way down there is very, very tricky to navigate. This mining area they're using is a natural cave where they've now been digging away the soil and hunting for gold. And the water then has made the whole passageway that they normally walk very, very unstable.
According to rescuers, divers have navigated about 330 feet into that flooded narrow cave. They're also working to pump water out of the cave to aid this rescue operation. The villagers entered the cave in Sesambon province back on May 19th. News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy overnight, a few showers are possible. The low dips down to 71. Tomorrow, more of what we've had today. Showers possible in the afternoon, the high up to 88. And by Thursday, we climb to 91 as our high. But then it's cooler for the weekend ahead. High temperatures in the upper 70s. More rain likely for Saturday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back. It is the number 2 hour here on Sports Talk. Little inside joke there. The number 2 hour on Sports Talk on the number 2 show of the week.
There's nothing inside about it. Nothing inside about it, Phil. Nothing inside about it.
Uh-huh. We heard you the third time. The number 2 show of the week and the number 2 hour, starring the plumber. So, looking forward to this hour. We got recruiting coming your way, and we're going to hear from Dabo Sweeney as he had a press conference today with Heaven Brown Schuler to go into more detail, and Schuler also talked as well about what he's facing in his upcoming cancer treatments. Stephen Garcia has become heavily involved with Heaven Brown Schuler, encouraging him after what he's been going through. So it's good to see people reaching out and helping one another. We got recruiting coming up as well. Some comments from Greg Sankey, Josh Harris from Darlington. Let me get to some of these text messages that have been in here for a while. Let's see here. This is, I don't want to do that one yet. Let's go to Russell and Anderson. This is actually from yesterday to begin. He goes, Happy Memorial Day to everyone. Thank you to the men in our country who made the ultimate sacrifice to allow us to do what we do. Prayers to all the families past and present who have lost loved ones in service to our nation. And then today, rest in peace, Bob Horner. I can still remember the 4-home run game against the Expos in 1986. All right. Yes, he did do that. Thank you for the note. Phil, I agree with Bergie. This is from the 803. I agree with Bergie. I believe J.D. has made a decision on the next head baseball coach at USC. Yep, you said that last night, Bergie. You still feel that way?
I do. I just a couple of reasons, but one in particular, I don't believe you would get rid of a very viable possibility in Monty Lee and basically tell him he's got no shot to get the job if you don't already have somebody in place. I think he made this hire at some point in time late last week and decided, there's no reason to string Monty Lee along. Let's get him out of the way so he has an opportunity, along with the rest of the assistant coaching staff. They have an opportunity to find a job as well. So I think it worked out really well. Now, I could be totally wrong, but I believe that they already have their guy in place, whomever that may be.
Well, it could have been the guy we were talking to just a little while ago.
Very well. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Here's the other thing, too. I mean, think about it. He's got a talented roster at Coastal. Let's just say Kevin Schnall is the hire at South Carolina. How many of those guys come with him from Coastal to Columbia? What about Matt Williams and his staff, the rest of his staff? I mean, then again, you got to consider maybe Matt Williams is under consideration at Coastal if that job does come open, or maybe Monty Lee, as we talked about last night. But let's say not, and Matt Williams comes with him. I mean, how many of those players that are really good players at Coastal would come with him to South Carolina? That is the model that Indiana has lived on with their football program, with so many players coming over from James Madison.
Well, and on the flip side of that, Phil, and it's an interesting point, but if you look at Coastal's roster of the guys that they have contributing, whether it be on the mound or in the field and at bat, a lot of those guys are juniors, redshirt juniors, or seniors. So you're talking about all draft eligible type guys. And, it may make some sense, too, if you're Kevin Schnall just looking at it from that standpoint. Look, this is probably going to be my best team that I've got, out of the 2 years outside of clearly last year's. But this may be my next best shot to make a run. And the rebuild certainly begins after this. Not saying the guys behind them, as he pointed out yesterday in his press conference about all the amount of innings that freshmen have thrown. They've got some talent down in the pipeline, but it may be a year or so. And guys like, for instance, he mentioned Dean Mijos. He's the senior. Blake Barthol's a senior. Trace Mason is a junior. Walker Mitchell's a junior. All these guys have contributed. Certainly Cameron Flukie is a junior. He's not coming back to college baseball, you wouldn't think, next year. So I think from that perspective, it may be the perfect time. If Kevin Schnall is the guy at USC, that may have factored into his decision as well.
Mm-hmm. From the 803, Corn, nice story you posted on the baseball regionals. Was curious about Florida State opponent St. Johnson. Okay, I made a typo in the story. I mean, good gracious.
Is that St. Johnson
Obviously,
and
sir,
Johnson?
Obviously, sir or ma'am, you've never made a typo in your life,
That's got to be Andy. That has got to be Andy. Andy had to have typed that in because he's the only one that calls you out on typos. It had to be.
Could have been. Let's see what we got here. This is from the 803 as well. Talking about the Monty Lee interview, I believe, that we had last week. I know it's not over, but dang, guys, a great interview. I think South Carolina missed out on a great coach. Thanks, Coach Lee. Love to see the smaller schools making a run, and you guys covering them. Thanks, love the show. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Roger from Woodruff. This is from last night. I don't do Twitter, but I'd say go to 16 teams in the college football playoff, no more than that. I only say 16 instead of 12 to get rid of the byes. Don't need almost a month off like they do now because of the stupid byes to throw you out of your routine. Then you stand a good chance of losing. Everything you say there makes sense. That makes a lot of
Absolutely
sense.
does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I like that approach. Okay, before we get too far down the road, today up at Clemson, it was a press conference called quickly with Dabo Swinney and up-and-coming young defensive tackle Heaven Brown Schuler. You might recall he was very heavily recruited defensive lineman out of Atlanta who actually grew up in Columbia, lived his early years in Columbia before moving to Atlanta. Signed with Clemson and didn't play a whole lot last year, so they're counting on him. They were counting on him to step up and improve and be a contributor this year, but it's not going to happen because he's got a battle with the cancer now to deal with. And Berger, you were involved. You were in on the press conference today listening, so fill us in on that, and then let's hear from Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, to Clemson's credit, and maybe even more so to Heaven Brown Schuler's credit, we don't normally see a lot of athletes that want to talk about their health, especially facing a very serious illness like Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is what he's dealing with. But for him to come out and be very transparent, sit down and answer questions with his head coach, I thought they handled it awfully well. And it was interesting as the press conference unfolded. Dabo Swinney brings up a story about, and Heaven Brown Schuler chimes in as well, about what Stephen Garcia has meant to the group. Even though he's a USC guy, he's going through his own cancer diagnosis, and both of them said Stephen Garcia has been a big level of support for them.
One cool thing from it is I knew his situation, what he was dealing with, but I had heard about what Stephen Garcia is going through, who was a great quarterback down at South Carolina, and I reached out to Shane and got his number and just kind of contacted him to encourage him. And then when this broke, he reached out and wanted to connect with Heaven. And so the two of them got connected. And I think his first chemo day, Stephen sent me a picture of Stephen was wherever he was doing his chemo, and he was in his place in Greenville doing his chemo. And they were kind of encouraging each other, and Stephen checking on Heaven. And you know what? That's what football does. I know we all compete and this and that, and we all, you wear certain logos, but football is a family, and that's been kind of a neat thing. And seeing Stephen and what he's dealing with, reaching out and encouraging Heaven and giving him some confidence, and it was a funny picture. He had some crazy hat on.
Yeah, we were sitting there with like both of our like when you have chemo, like you have like a port or whatever. So we were like just showing off like our little ports to each other, and it was a tender moment. And we were just lift each other up every day, just make sure that we're in each other's ear, like like we both got this. Like this isn't anything that's gonna stop us from doing what we want to do. So.
It's fascinating, Phil. You see these big guys dealing with what they deal with on a Saturday when they go out and knock heads for 60 minutes. And then to hear Heaven Brown Schuler use the term, it was a tender moment. It just don't normally see those two, but I thought it was great. And I think, as Dabo pointed out, it's really cool that you see the football community rallying around each other the way those two evidently are, he and Stephen Garcia.
Yes, it is. It's good to know that you can find it out on the field on a Saturday afternoon and still be respectful and helpful to one another any other day of the week. And we're seeing a side of Garcia, because of what he's going through, where he's reaching out to a lot of different people who are having to handle the same situation that he's in. You got more from Swinney.
I actually do, and obviously today was a sad moment too, because Dabo basically broke the news that the man who hired him full-time at Clemson and the former AD of the Tigers, Terry Don Phillips, passed away. And it's very clear, if you listen to Dabo here, exactly what TDP meant to him, not just on the football field, but also outside of work.
I'm going to break in here for just a second. We got a break coming up in about 15 seconds.
Okay, so we'll hold that audio.
Okay. I thought the break was later. Okay, that's fine. Way to break in there, Plummer. Here on the number 2 hour of Sports Talk tonight. So we'll get to that. And we've got recruiting coming up as well. So stay tuned for that. Josh Harris from Darlington after the bottom of the hour. and more text messages. Phone line is shut down tonight, back to normal tomorrow night. Back in Columbia tomorrow night. Looking forward to be back in town. And we'll be back after this break.
When I was in high school, my coach liked to say, "You don't rise to low expectations." And that's just always stuck with me. So with the help of my lottery-funded life scholarship, I was able to get a degree in secondary education. Now it's my turn to invest in my athletes, the same way my coaches did for me. Who knows? Maybe one day they'll do the same for someone else.
Better coaches means a better South Carolina. And a better South Carolina means a better you. Visit SCEducationLottery.com/betteryou.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, going to get that final comment in from Dabo Sweeney from today's press conference talking about Terry Don Phillips in just a moment. But let's get to the recruiting report, which is brought to you by Seawells. Don't forget the Seawells, they are there for you. They are there for you to help you out with your most important events requiring the best in the catering business, whether at your location or their location, which will be a new location for them coming up this summer when they move back to their old location inside the state fairgrounds, leaving their current location on Rosewood Drive. They can come to you wherever you happen to be. So just get in touch, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. And don't forget the daily luncheon buffet, Tuesdays through Friday, most weeks, Tuesday through Friday from 11 to 2. You can go to the website to check the schedule and also check the menu when it is posted. Okay, recruiting-wise, Clemson commitment today, tight end Carter Blackwell. He's 6'4", 210, Leesburg, Georgia. Tigers running up the commitment list before they have their big official visit weekend this weekend. This is another one that's coming in who's going on the commitment list now before coming in. He had other offers: South Carolina, Florida State, North Carolina, Louisville, Duke, Kansas State, Miami, Colorado, others. He visited Clemson in April, was offered by tight ends coach Kyle Richardson while on the visit. After the visit, Blackwell cited Clemson's football culture and family feel as 2 compelling reasons to give the Tigers strong consideration. Blackwell's a 12th commitment for Clemson's 2027 class, the 5th from Georgia, and the first tight end. Another coming in this weekend for Clemson is defensive end Santana Harvey, 6'5", 225, out of Lakeland, Florida. Following his official to Clemson this weekend, he has officials scheduled with Florida State, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, and Notre Dame. He said his relationship with Clemson is great, but what has him interested is the coaches and how they make him feel like a family. Also, the way they run their defense, their production, their development. Spent most of his time communicating with Chris Rumpf and Tom Allen. They like that he's a very physical player, that he's fast. He's a good pass rusher. He also plays the running game well. And so they have laid out, he says they've laid out their plans for him, and they've convinced him that should he choose Clemson, that there's a possibility he could come in right away and help out the defense as a freshman. He's had 2 very strong seasons as an edge at Lakeland with a combined 36.5 tackles for loss and 20 sacks. He's one of 6 defensive ends currently scheduled to visit Clemson this weekend. Bluffton wide receiver Amari Patterson, who's actually from Ridgeland, always likes the media to mention Ridgeland when we talk about the fact that he goes to Bluffton High School now. He was offered by North Carolina. He was scheduled to visit LSU this weekend, but according to an LSU website, that visit is off. Clemson offered safety Stephen Fox, 6'3", 200, of Hocking Junior College in Indiana. He'll make an official visit to Clemson this weekend. He is the brother of Clemson target linebacker Sean Fox, who is also taking an official visit this weekend. And another South Carolina baseball player is going into the, well, I guess this is the first. They've had a couple of high school guys decommit. This is the first on the team to announce free agency, and that's Josh Gunther, the right-hander, who had some high moments for them. Of course, he came to them via free agency from Wake Forest. So, you know, Bergie, what you get through free agency, you can also lose through free agency. Now, I would expect many more South Carolina names to go into that free agent market as the days and weeks roll on. That's recruiting tonight here on Sports Talk, as always brought to you by Seawells. All right, Bergie, back to Dabo Swinney. A little bit more from him. All of Dabo Swinney and Heaven Brown Schuler is on our website, sportstalksc.com, so you can hear it all there. But here's more, Bergie, that you selected from the press conference for us to hear.
Yeah, about 30 minutes. We could fill up the final half hour of the show if Josh Harris didn't mind. But instead, we pulled out some good stuff, including Dabo's thoughts about the passing of his former boss, Terry Don Phillips. Here's what Dabo had to say.
You know, no words to state, you know, his impact, you know, for me, for Clemson. I got a text late Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night from Billy DeAndre, and he had just gotten out to Utah on a trip, and to let me know. I think Trish had sent him a message, kind of letting us know that hey, it's not good. And we actually tried to go see him a few weeks ago, Billy D, and Woody, but it just wasn't a good time, and he really wasn't doing well. It's a very sad day because this day has come, but it's also a blessing because I know that he's not suffering anymore. I know he's whole. I know he's a man of faith, and I know that he's in heaven with Jesus. So I have great comfort in that because I just didn't like the fact that he was really struggling down the stretch here. Again, this is one of the great mentors in my life. You know, 2 of the greatest mentors in my life came from Texas, state of Texas, him and Gene Stallings. This had been a heavy morning for me, just processing. It's a lot to process when I think about Terry Don Phillips, because I really can't even begin to justify or quantify his impact on me personally and Clemson. I mean, I don't think there's any way you can quantify his impact on this great university. And I'm just thankful to the good Lord that you know, he's a part of my journey, and God brought me to Clemson. And you know, one of the first people I met with when I came to Clemson, he was the AD, and you know, just remember talking to him. We talked a lot about Coach Stallings. He was a big fan of Coach Stallings. We talked a lot about that, and then I get the job here, and then later on in 2007, I'm probably leaving to go to Alabama, but he I called Coach Bowden to tell him I really felt like the right thing to do was to stay, but I couldn't stay for just everybody had 1-year contracts, and he called Terry Don, and Terry Don gave me a second year on my contract, and so I stayed at Clemson. And then later on down the road, obviously in 2008, I'm the interim, and then he hires me, and I'm a little wiser now than I was then. I can only imagine, in a leadership role like he was in, the amount of conviction and belief that you have to have to make a decision like he made in December 1 of 2008 to hire me, and kind of against, maybe the grain there. And man, I'm just so thankful for him. I mean, and I've said that many times. Sometimes, other people see things in you before you even see it in yourself or believe it in yourself. And he was one of those people for me.
You guys there, Phil?
Yes. I was thinking Bergie was going to jump back in, but I'll jump back in. That was Dabo Swinney talking about the passing of Terry Don Phillips today from Clemson. So, again, very sad news. And the bad news continues to roll out with folks passing away for one reason or another, Bergie. Seems like the older we get, the more we hear about this. But I guess it's, it's only natural that it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And not that, we're having any more now than we ever have before. It just seems like it to me. We've had a great number of famous people, notable people, pass away here in here in 2026. It just seems that way. I'm sure it's no different than any other year. It just seems that way to me.
I think you're probably right, Phil, because keep in mind our population has gotten much older, because I guess you're at the back end of the World War II generation, the children who were born in the 40s. So we're going to start losing a lot of people, unfortunately, just because our population is getting considerably older. I think I was watching a story last night on the news celebrating Memorial Day, and maybe one of the final survivors of the Pearl Harbor attacks is still alive. He's like 108 years old. It's just remarkable stuff.
Yeah. I saw a video clip of a World War II veteran, 100 years old, still playing golf. And I think he's, beating his age. I think he's breaking 100. And that's pretty amazing stuff. First of all, that you survived the war, and now that you've lived to be 100. And you haven't killed yourself over playing golf nonetheless. Okay, we'll be right back with Josh Harris.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy overnight, a few showers are possible. The low dips down to 71. Tomorrow, more of what we've had today. Showers possible in the afternoon, the high up to 88. And by Thursday, we climb to 91 as our high. But then it's cooler for the weekend ahead. High temperatures in the upper 70s. More rain likely for Saturday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Texans are choosing a Republican nominee for U.S. Senate. The election brings to a close a bitter and expensive primary. President Trump endorsed State Attorney General Ken Paxton last week over four-term Senator John Cornyn. The winner of the runoff will face Democrat James Tallarico in November. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio projected that talks with Iran on extending the ceasefire and reopening the crucial Strait of Hormuz will take a few days. A crack relieved pressure in an overheated chemical tank in Southern California and an averted catastrophic explosion, but it's still not safe enough for 16,000 people. who live closest to that aerospace plant to go home. And the Scripps National Spelling Bee runs through Thursday of this week. This is SRN News.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Groucho's Deli is the Midland's most loved, historic, and awarded deli and has been for decades, serving trademark subs like the STP Dipper with melty Swiss over roast beef, turkey, and bacon bits on a soft sub roll and served with Groucho's famous 45 sauce. Come into any of our 8 Midlands locations and see for yourself or pick up with fast, convenient, and friendly service at Grouchos.com or on the Groucho's app and sign up for the Groucho's Rewards and Birthday Brownie Club.
Hi y'all, this is Sal from Grow Your Garden with Sal. Let's get your garden started. Now is the time. We've got locally grown South Carolina certified plants grown organically right here in Columbia at a great price. Check out our selection of veggie plants including hard to find tomatoes, peppers, squash, zucchini, and more. We have all your seeds too, and quality soil to help you get it started. We're at 113 Hilltop Drive in Columbia and visit growyourgardenwithsal.com.
Discover the seamless blend of comfort and style with Lexington Discount Homes. With over 30 years of excellence in the housing industry, our focus is on delivering your dream home with unparalleled customer service. Explore a variety of designs tailored to meet any preference and budget. Drop by our showroom at 1847 Augusta Highway to witness the craftsmanship of a Lexington home firsthand, or explore online through a comprehensive virtual tour at lexingtondiscounthomes.com. Choose comfort, choose style, choose Lexington Discount Homes.
As a business owner, you want your customers to have the best experience possible, and that includes convenient parking. If you have designated parking spaces or an entire lot, Schroeder's Towing can provide free signage and installation for businesses to deter unwanted parking and removal of abandoned vehicles. Contact Schroeder's Towing and ask about free signage for your spaces or lot. Take back your parking. 803-772-7930 and SchroedersTowing.com.
Schroeder's Towing, Columbia's finest and fastest hookers in town.
Okay, time to catch up on the NASCAR scene. Welcome in the president of Darlington Raceway, Josh Harris, to Sports Talk once again. Unfortunately, we really can't focus on the race at Charlotte, which was cut short by the rain and had a surprising winner, I guess we could say. We'll jump into that in just a moment. But, Josh, the Kyle Busch story that hit everybody like a ton of bricks, not just in NASCAR, but anybody that follows sports, still reverberating around the country and certainly through the garages and the offices as they go back to work this week. Your thoughts about his passing, how that affected you, how that hit you?
Yeah, it's tragic and just kind of jarring situation, something you didn't expect to wake up and, by the end of Thursday for something that the entire sport and industry and would be dealing with. And certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife, Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, the entire Busch family, everyone at RCR, I think the weekend played out, at Charlotte in the most NASCAR way in terms of everyone just rallying together around the Bush family and around RCR and showing just how much of a family sport this is. But certainly we've lost one of NASCAR's greatest drivers of all time, one of the most talented drivers of all time. I was up in Charlotte for some meetings on Thursday, and when word started to get out, we were at a dinner, and you just kind of sit there, and it's hard to process in the moment. Someone like Kyle, unexpected, and it took some time, and it's still taking time, and I think it's one of those things that's going to take time for everyone to heal and to get over this. But I was very proud of how everyone within the sport and even outside of NASCAR, outside of our community, has embraced the family and really put their arms around them.
Well, that NASCAR fans and folks that work in the industry, you expect death. I mean, it happens in that business. It's happened forever, ever since it was created. I mean, drivers get killed in races, and crew members get killed on pit road and things like that. It's sort of, it's become less the norm, and that's the good thing. It's when these things happen off the track, I think, that really astonish everybody. And in this particular case, you think about it, he was dealing with it was reported a sinus, a head cold, a bad sinus deal, and who knows how much he was getting treated. The point I'm getting at here is maybe this is a lesson, maybe something can be learned from this sort of thing, that if you don't feel right, don't let it slide. Go get it attended to and go see your doctor, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds like to me he just sort of let this go and didn't give it maybe the attention from a doctor's standpoint that he should have.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that would be a lot of speculation on my part, and I don't think that that's, fair for me to do. I think that, we've certainly heard the cause, and I think until we get more information, without knowing what kind of treatment Kyle was going through, I'd rather not speculate on something like that. I think it's, it is a reminder to all of us, whether we are a NASCAR driver or just going through our daily lives, that life is precious, and it's, things can happen when you least expect it. And, I think being back at the racetrack so quickly, everyone being in the Charlotte area, kind of home for a lot of the NASCAR teams, on a weekend that's already a little bit somber, and remembering all of those who have given their life and sacrifice for the freedoms that we have in this country, I think, it just added another layer to that for the weekend. So I'm sure we'll learn more about the exact, information on what all occurred in time. And, until then, I think it's just best to wait and see before I, for me at least, to make any comments on that.
Certainly understand. Have you talked to other track presidents and operators, and is there a plan to honor him at all the various tracks as the season winds on?
I think it's probably a little early to know official plans as we go, race by race. I'm fully aware of several tracks, including ours, that have made a small memorial. We have a picture of Kyle on our video board sign, message board sign that's right there outside of our main office. And some fans have come by over the weekend and placed flowers there. And so in the short term, I think it's just, doing our best to remember Kyle, honor his memory and his legacy. And as we go into the coming weeks, certainly for Darlington, we've got, through the summer to plan how we want to recognize and honor Kyle when it comes around for the Cookout Southern 500.
Would you be in favor of his immediate inclusion into the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
I think it's something that's been talked about a lot, as somebody that doesn't get a vote, and speaking strictly as a fan, if that was something that were to happen, you would have no concern from my end if that were made. If that decision were made, I think this is a little bit of unprecedented situation since the NASCAR Hall of Fame was built and created, and we haven't had a situation like this with a current active driver who's had a sudden death that is, I think everyone looks around and Kyle Busch is a first ballot Hall of Famer without question. So if that's something that comes to be, I would certainly support it.
Absolutely. Visiting with Josh Harris from Darlington. As for the race, of course, it sucks that the rain came in there and ended at 27 laps premature. It looked like we were heading towards a great finish, but Daniel Suarez gets his first Charlotte win, and he got to credit the crew and the crew chief with their decision to go with 2 tires there late. Made all the difference in the world for him.
It did, a lot of times, a lot of wins in the NASCAR Cup Series and all the series have come on, playing strategy correctly, and you got to give the credit to the Spire team, to the 7 team. They came in, they took 2 tires, and then on several restarts, they held off in my opinion, the 2 or 3 best cars of the entire night, and the 20 and Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, as well as Tyler Reddick. All ran up front consistently. And I think if we had gone those last 27 laps, it's likely, without a number of cautions that they might have caught up to Daniel and made that pass. But kudos to their team. They made the right call. Daniel stuck it with 2 restarts there at the end to stay out front until the rain came. And, as a damper on the whole weekend, we had 3 races all shortened by rain. It's certainly some much needed rain, I would say, around our area, but you never want it to impact the races. And so feel for all the fans that traveled up to Charlotte and battled through that, and all the teams in the industry that went through that. But congrats to Daniel. He's a Coca-Cola Racing family driver. He was here last month with us in Coca-Cola at our meal packing event. So always good to see good things happen to good people, and maybe coming down and helping Coca-Cola and Darlington Raceway out to, put them in a good position heading into the Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, winning the Coca-Cola 600, winning that particular race, it's a crown jewel race like the Southern 500 and Talladega 500 and Daytona 500. So for Daniel Suarez at this stage of his career with this particular team, what do you think will be the down-the-road benefits of that?
Well, I think if you take a step back and you look over the last, probably 18 months to 2 seasons, Spire has continued to improve their on-track performance. You've got a good stable of drivers, and when you think about the, Carson Hocevar, you've got Michael McDowell, adding Daniel Suarez to that lineup this year. Carson got his first win earlier at Talladega. Daniel gets his first win for Spire, and obviously he's a multi-time NASCAR Cup Series winner now. So I think this just continues to help that team and that organization as a whole develop confidence, develop, consistency. They're running up front week after week, and that's what you've got to do. And sometimes, it takes a great strategy call to be able to capitalize and get another victory. So I think this puts them in a good position going forward. It's not going to make the next win any easier, but certainly gives them a lot of confidence.
And what about the day for SVG? Showed that he can run right up there with the big boys on an oval track and showed some strength. What do you think of his day?
Oh, yeah. It's a 600-mile race. There's a lot that happens. There's, some guys, don't start off as well when it's daylight, and they really come on once the sun goes down. But so it's interesting to see how the full 600 miles, 400 laps play out. But every time I seem to look up, there's SVG hanging around the top 10, running competitively, running in the top 5. And so I think it shows we had a lot of people talk about his success on the road courses and street courses, and just waiting for to see how his oval track progress continues to improve. And I think that, when you look back over the course of the first third of this season, he's had some good runs, and that's another one for them to build on, especially for Trackhouse as an organization who admittedly has lacked some speed, and they've really been working hard at that. So good to see SVG up there, and we'll see how much confidence that gives him here in a couple of weeks when we head to San Diego and then out to Sonoma in the road course.
And, of course, Nashville's this coming weekend. First time we've had a chance to talk to you since the big barbecue fest at your place a couple of weekends ago. How'd that go? How much barbecue did you crown? What do you think of everything? Did we lose Josh?
Hey, I'm back.
Oh, there you go. Did you hear my question?
Yeah, you were asking about the barbecue festival. It went great. We were so happy with the way everything turned out. We got great feedback from our competition barbecue teams. Had a lot of people coming out. Great turnout for the car show. I think we learned a lot in planning a different type of event, and already looking ahead to next year. We need to get some NASCAR dates finalized, and then we can finalize the date for the return for 2027's version of Speed and Feed. So if you missed it this time, when we get it announced, go ahead and put it on your calendar. It's another event we love to keep building and adding on to, and another good reason to get out to the racetrack.
Did you have many folks take you up on the opportunity to drive on the track, to turn some laps?
Yeah, we had NASCAR racing experience there, and they were on track for about 4 hours, kind of right in the heart of the whole day, and they were busy. We had a lot of people out there doing rides and drives, and then as a special kind of last minute addition to our barbecue teams for the overall grand champion, we gave them some laps in the original first entry car that we've got there at the museum. Marshall Griffin, so kind to loan that one to us, and we get to take it out for some laps. So we gave the winning team some laps in that 1949 Plymouth after their big win.
Fantastic. Well, let's tell folks to go ahead and get those tickets for the Labor Day weekend race. It'll be here before we know it. And how can folks go ahead and get those tickets? How are ticket sales going, and how should they go get those tickets?
Yeah, we're just a little over 100 days away from Cookout Southern 500, Labor Day weekend, and I know schools are getting out. Everybody's planning their vacations for the summer, so don't wait around too long. Get to darlingtonraceway.com, get your tickets, give us a call at 866-459-RACE. Looking forward to another big weekend. We're the start of the chase back at Darlington for both the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and the Cup Series. It's going to be a big weekend. Looking forward to another sellout crowd on Sunday for the Cookout Southern 500.
All right, sir. Thank you as always. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you very much. Josh Harris, president of Darlington. And don't forget to get those tickets because they will be sold out. They're going to sell out the Cookout Southern 500, the first race of the chase this time around, so folks are going to get those tickets. So don't delay and don't let it slip away, or you'll be on the outside looking in, and you don't want to be doing that. No. And we thank Josh for being with us.
Yeah, now for the Southern 500. You need to be there for the Goodyear 400. You have to be there for the Southern 500. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Best race on the circuit.
Really is. I mean, both races at Darlington are great events, great races. But the one, the Southern 500 with all the tradition and the fact that it's the opening race of the new form of the playoffs makes it all that much more important. But racing at Darlington, especially that evening, that fall race or late summer race, however you want to look at it. Yeah, doesn't
fall
really feel like
is
fall.
Using that term loosely.
Yeah, late summer as it goes from daylight to darkness and. Track gets a little slick, gets a little greasy out there, and the wrecks start to pile up, and you have a dramatic finish. Happens more often than not. So encourage everybody to get those tickets. Make sure you don't miss out on this opportunity to take in a great event at Darlington. And we thank Josh for being with us tonight. I think we have a break coming up. Do we have a break coming up? I think we have a break coming up. Do we not?
About 1 minute, yes.
Okay, Plummer. Good to have you hanging in there with us. This just coming out from the SEC meetings. The SEC has voted to play a conference game on the second to last weekend of the regular season starting in 2027. As Greg Sankey's quoted as saying, quote, the end of Cupcake Weekend, end quote. How
I can't believe he said that. I mean, I really can't. As a commissioner of the SEC, you're going to call out your league members that way. But, yeah. No, I mean, that's what Carolina's doing this year, right? Is it the Georgia
they got
game?
Georgia. They got Georgia before Clemson. No cupcake for the Gamecocks.
Gosh, no.
Pie in your eye or whatever, but no cupcake. But, interesting. So this is so now you're telling your teams you got to schedule a conference game on the next to last Saturday of the regular season, and then for many of you, you're going to be playing your big rivalry the next weekend, right? That's how that's going to work out.
Correct.
So Alabama can't be playing Jacksonville State before they play Auburn or something, and Auburn vice versa. And we already seen where South Carolina's been given the Georgia game the weekend before the Clemson game. I mean, that's never happened before for South Carolina football. They have to play a team like Georgia before they play their big rivalry game against Clemson. See how they handle that, how teams handle that kind of deal. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment.
Business owners, if you're ready to grow your business, you can relax. With Founders Federal Credit Union, we mean business. When it comes to business loans, from equipment to expansion, our flexible financing can help fund real business growth. If you're considering a business loan, such as real estate, vehicles, equipment, or an unsecured loan or line of credit, our team is here to help. Our local experts will review your application, resulting in quick decisions and processing. And unlike most banks, we don't charge prepayment penalties. As always, from Founders, you can expect great rates and exceptional service along the way. Visit foundersfcu.com/business to learn more, or to get started, stop by an office near you or give us a call. 800-845-1614. That's 800-845-1614. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. Rates, terms, and conditions are subject to change. Loans are subject to credit evaluation and underwriting requirements.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to make sure you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
Hi, I'm Jim Corbett. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years. There's one thing I've learned about injury cases. It's you need the personal touch. You need the lawyer to get to know you and describe your damages. You don't want a case manager talking to an insurance company and then talking to you and then talking to maybe to a lawyer with limited experience at the last minute to try to settle a case. I talk to you. I find out what your case is about. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com for your injury cases.
So the bad boy, Alan Smothers, on his radio show In the PD, has reported that Kevin Schnall has a big offer from South Carolina, big NIL offer to be the next coach at South Carolina, and that if he were to leave, Chris Lemonis would be a strong possibility to replace him at Coastal Carolina. Lamonis has been talking with Coastal Carolina, he reports, about NIL, and that's a deciding factor. No agreement yet. He also says there's a little snag because, according to his reporting, Chance Miller is leaving for Virginia Tech in the next few weeks.
Whoa.
That's from the bad boy Alan Smothers with his sources. He's very tied in along the coast, Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, he really is. Mm-hmm.
So wanted to pass that on from him. Meantime, quickly, before we wrap it up, some Greg Sankey remarks, Bergie.
Do we want to squeeze it in? We're not going to be able to run the entire clip that we've got. Do we want to squeeze in what we have?
Well, yeah, because I guess so. Squeeze in a little bit here because we won't be able to.
Fair enough.
It'll be old news by tomorrow. So go ahead.
Yeah, it certainly will. SEC spring meetings getting underway, and Greg Sankey, commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, visited with the media, talked about a wide range of topics, including possible expansion of the college football playoff.
When we went from 4 to 12, at 4 you'd have teams effectively eliminated from postseason consideration in September, and good teams. And as we worked on the working group to move from 4 to 12, the analysis was, if you looked over time, what kind of teams were brought into the conversation. And I think there were two ways to group it. And you have to go back like pre-COVID when this work started, pre-21, 22, the pre-expansion era. And so you had, 5 conferences plus 1. So you'd have those 5 conferences who was around their championship games that had access through the conference champion. And then with the group of 6, you had actually a group of 5 then, a group of 6 now. You had a multiplicity. Each of those conferences had 2 or 3 or 4 programs vying for a conference championship. How might it sort itself out? And then what we did is we looked further to say, okay, in the months of November, the whole "it just means more" thing is real, so our games will always matter. But would there be additional attention? And I would quantify Oklahoma last year as a really good example where in the old 4-team format, that's a team that's out. November 1st last year, I think that was a Saturday, they played up in Knoxville, had a really tough schedule. So for all the discussion about 9-game and the difficulty of our schedule, that's a really good example of a difficult schedule in November helping a team earn its way into the playoff.
All right, comments from Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC. More will be coming out of the SEC over the next 2 days as their meetings continue down in Destin. I don't think they'll come out of anything as far as a consensus on what to do about a college football playoff expansion, but there'll be a lot of ideas kicked around. Okay, Bergie, thank you. And Plummer, thank you for hanging in there with us tonight. You have a good night, and thanks to all of you. Y'all have a great night. See you tomorrow.